What's up, Hoopers? Now, you guys have been killing me for the clickbait titles, but unfortunately, that's all you guys watch. But there are trades that are coming up. There's two sources in Utah saying that there are communication and trade proposals being talked with the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Lakers. I looked up both of the accounts on Twitter. They're active for years. They're all about Utah, and it really boils down to actually a player that nobody's talking about. That is what's holding up the Utah Jazz deal. We're going to bring up those tweets. We're going to bring up the player. We're going to bring up the stats. We're going to see if it works. This is something that multiple sources are saying the Jazz and the Lakers are not done talking yet. So again, we're going to bring this trade up, and you guys are going to decide, is it a good trade? Is it happening? Is it not? I am your NBA white guy. I talk all things NBA hoops from a hooper's perspective. And if you love that kind of content, then make sure you tap that subscribe button and you click the bell so you're notified every time I do a new video. All right, so we're going to talk about this Lakers trade, but before we get to that, I am a very open dude. I am letting you guys know you've been beating me up in the comments about, I'm so tired of these clickbait titles. I try and do real Hooper videos and nobody clicks on them, but I do want to talk about this trade, and I'm going to bring up all of the sources. We're going to bring up shot charts. We're going to bring up high school stats. We're going to bring up NBA stats, because this trade really is all about, the Utah Jazz and the Lakers, and Utah getting those picks from the Lakers. But apparently there's a player in there that the Lakers want that the Jazz are not willing to give up. Now, this threw a major wrench in the fire, I think it is. But let's talk about this first. Let's bring up the tweet. So again, I looked both these accounts up. You can too. As you can see here, the Monty Show, this dude does all things about Utah. He has thousands of posts all about, the football team, college football. You got the Utah Jazz, everything. He's all about it. So sources at the Utah Jazz say the Jazz and Lakers have had talks about Westbrook. Talks have centered around additional compensation from the Lakers, who have expressed interest in Bogdanovich, Clarkson, significant ground to cover to get this deal done. This was on September 8th, so just a day and a half ago. Now, the next one that came right after this, if you look, this one's a little more interesting from Jazz Notes. Again, another account. I went and checked it out. The sources say the holdup on the talks around Russell Westbrook to the Utah trade is strictly about Jared Vanderbilt. The Lakers want him and the Jazz want to keep him. Teams are remaining in contact trying to work out a deal. Again, September 8th. So this is two Utah sources. Let's talk about this trade and Jared Vanderbilt. I was like, I got to see who this guy is. What is it about Vanderbilt that the Lakers want so badly? And I'll be brutally honest with you guys. I didn't know a lot about him. I didn't watch a ton of him. So I wanted to do the research. And so I have some footage of him. I wanted to watch him first before I look at stats. That's what all the news anchors and talking heads do. They just look at a stat and they're like, well, he only shoots this. No, I want to see it with my own eye. Where's the fit? Why would the Lakers want him? Here's some video footage why. All right, so here's Vanderbilt. He played for Minnesota. That's one giveaway right there. He was your boy Pat Bev's teammate last year. But right there, let's check that out again. This is, okay, when I was like, what is it about Vanderbilt that the Lakers want? And what is it that they desperately need? Defense, right? And toughness, tenacity. Now, the one thing, if you look at every quote from Darvin Ham, what does he say? I will play Westbrook. I will carve a role out for everybody as long as they play defense, as long as they play hard. This is his number one goal. If Darvin Ham is going to coach the Lakers and it doesn't go well, he's going to go down swinging, saying, hey, it was all an effort on their behalf. He's going to make sure the effort's there. So this is a player, a high-energy player. Look at this. He's only 6'9", and I've watched a bunch of his highlights. He's not a very bouncy dude. Like, he doesn't just jump out of the gym. He can dunk easily no matter what, but he's very lengthy. And everything that I watch with him, he's got a motor. I mean, the dude is 100 miles an hour. He is in every shot trying to block stuff. Who cares if I get dunked on? That's the type of personality. So if you see this, your boy Zubox, he didn't. Oh, man, I think that dude gets his dunks blocked more than anybody. But that's a big human being right there. So I love seeing this kind of effort out of the player. And guess who he's guarding up top? Look at that. That's Paul George, right? Okay, so 3-and-D wings, right? This is not a guy who's going to shoot. I'm going to bring up his shot chart in a little bit. But if he can come in and lock down a top player, just like your boy Paul George right there, that's huge. And he helps off and he comes down and gets a big block. This is the thing that drives me nuts because people will just look at like a play real quick and skim over it. That play right there can change a game. One big block on a dunk. The bench is going to go nuts. The players go, watch, they're going to get down there and they're going to go score. That will excite the whole crowd. Those are game-changing moments. So I get it. I'm not saying this is the greatest dude ever. I just like what I'm seeing here. Now we're going to watch this. Who's he guarding? Draymond. Pest, right? This is amazing. Okay, so he's super long, and he's a pest. He plays incredible defense. This is a guy, poor Draymond, you ain't no point guard, who he's going to be able to run side by side by Pat Bev. Put him at the 5 spot. Let AD come out. I mean, obviously he likes playing the center. Now, let's look real quick. You can watch these highlights all day, but I just really wanted to showcase his effort, his defense. All right, now let's look at your homeboy's shot chart. As you can see, it's all right around the basket, okay? Now, if you look, he's a 50% three-point shooter. He's 1 for 2, but, okay, he's all buckets down here, and you might be like, well, this is the worst thing for the Lakers. They need shooters. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about a couple of the LeBron James teams that went all the way and won the chip. The very first one that comes to mind, again, I love hustle players. I will be brutally honest. In high school, I was the top dog in the state. You go to college, you're playing with the top dogs of everybody, and you have to accept a role. I knew right away there was dudes who could shoot better, there was dudes who could score better, there was dudes who could rebound. Well, actually, no, there wasn't guys who could rebound better. That was my niche. So I was told I was a redshirt freshman, meaning I wouldn't play my whole year. And I ended up not only not being a redshirt, but starting that year, and I led the league in rebounds. The only reason I say that is because you have to understand that players, they have to accept a role, right? So when I watch a lot of NBA games and I watch a lot of things, I'm looking at role players and glue guys. That's the teams that always go the farthest. So Vanderbilt, you're like, well, the dude can't shoot. Yes, but he's a tenacious defender, right? And he's an undersized center who is not afraid to, do shot blocks. So who does that remind you of? Let's say the Miami Heat. They won a chip. You guys all see Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron James. I'm looking at a guy down there who got big-time minutes. Your boy Birdman. Chris Anderson literally played every game he started. He's not that tall. Yes, if you stand next to him, I stand next to him. He's 6'10", 6'11". He can't jump. But the dude was under the rim trying to block every single shot. He got dunked on all the time. Who cares? But he got some massive blocks. He took charges. He even had one game, I think he went 7 for 7 or 9 for 9 in a playoff finals game. This is a dude who gets measurable minutes by just being a pest, by being a defender. That's what Vanderbilt can do. Now let's talk about another team, the Cavs team that won it. Who was their big man down low, who was only 6'9"? Tristan Thompson, okay? This is a guy who was undersized, and what did he do? He sat down there and just blocked shots. He got big rebounds, offensive and defensive. I'm telling you right now, the Lakers have to have players like this. When I was talking earlier a couple weeks ago about Stanley Johnson, this was the reason why, because he was 6'8", but he got tons of rebounds. He was diving all over the floor. He was doing that hustle stuff. You have to have that. Now, just to prove my point, let's go over here, and I'm going to drag his high school stats in because, look, this is a guy who scored basically 27, 16, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 2. Now, you're saying, oh, that's high school. That's high school players. I know, but the point I'm trying to drive across is in the Lakers organization. Again, I'm giving you a hooper's perspective. Everybody looks at like numbers and stats, right? It's not that. It's meshing, it's chemistry, it's locker room, and it's hustle, guys. Pat Bev's going to bring that heat. He's probably like, go get my boy Vanderbilt. Me and him together, we're going to tear up this league, right? You can trade assets for him because those two players, Pat Bev and Vanderbilt, they can get into the top players, right? That's going to free up a lot of time. Then LeBron doesn't have to play as much defense. Anthony Davis. I'm telling you right now, those guys can shoot. We've brought up the shot charts. You have incredible shooting with just those two players. You bring a guy like Austin Reeves, Kendrick Nunn out there, you're going to be shooting great, right? But you have to have those role players. And Pat Bev, obviously from the corners, he's shooting above 50% too. So you have your center now, a undersized center. I love Damian Jones and Bryant. These guys could do it too. But there's a reason now if you trade, you get Bogdanovich, in there. You've got an incredible shooter. You've got Vanderbilt for the energy, and he can come off the bench, whatever. But this is why they probably want him. And he's a dude who scored a lot of points, but he figured out his role in the NBA. And now I've done a lot of videos in the past of Westbrook staying, but some of these tweets that just rise up, you don't know which way it's going. You don't know. I don't know. I felt like, and I still feel like Westbrook's going to stay there. But the problem with Westbrook right now mental, right? He's jacked up in the mental because everybody's just tearing him down. Now, this is a human being. I just saw his Instagram account. He's got 3 little kids. He's sending them off to freaking elementary school. I got 3 little kids, man. He's just a basketball player. He's a human, and he's getting shredded. Nobody could perform under that pressure. And he's a high energy, high motor dude. You guys in the comments agreed with me on the last video. Hey, he's getting kind of wrongfully beat up. Now, he was atrocious shooting. He was throwing the ball out of bounds all the time. I get it. But when you're told you're terrible every single day and you're trying to be better and you're trying to do things to get that off of your name, your game, it's going to elevate the pressure and make things difficult. And when you're a high energy dude who runs 150 miles an hour all the time and you look everywhere else and everybody's standing, it's going to eat you up too. And everybody's focused on him driving. Look, I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just telling you what I see from a hooper's perspective. Speaking of high energy, you guys got to click on this video. These are going to be the crazy sickest players to come off of injury. This year's going to be great. Make sure you watch that and you're going to vote who will be the best player coming off of injury this year. Go check out who my #1 is. Guys, if you're loving this content, please go down there and hit that like button and make sure you're commenting down below. What do you think about this trade now bringing in Vanderbilt and Bogdanovich, but getting rid of those 2 picks? Do we ride or die with those picks to the end and wait till next year? Or do we try and do something for this year? I kind of like making a move, getting that locker room cleared up. There's no mistakes that this is the crew we got. Right now, it's just kind of unsettling. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? I don't know, right? That's my thought. I am your NBA white guy. I talk all things NBA hoops from a hooper's perspective. Make sure you tap that subscribe button and you click the bell so you're notified every time I do a new video. If you